Hello, welcome to another episode of my podcast Blueprint. In today's episode, I'll be debunking 3 myths that are holding you back from speaking English fluently. My name is Barb, I'm an English teacher and coach, and I have been helping students with their English fluency for 5 years already. I myself was struggling with English fluency and getting confidence in English when I was learning English. I was this kind of student who was always an ambitious achiever and wanted to speak English fluently. And with the right strategies, with the right learning habits, I was able to reach this level of fluency that I have right now. So that's why today's episode is dedicated to debunking those 3 myths, those 3 things that people always say that will help you speak English fluently, but in reality, they are holding you back. They are preventing you from seeing results in your English fluency. If you are an ambitious professional who has been learning English for 3 or 5 years, who has tried with 2 or 3 different teachers over these past 5 years and still sees zero progress in your English fluency, stay because this video and today's episode is meant for you. One of the mistakes that I see across my students is that they are waiting to be ready. They are waiting to have enough vocabulary or knowing certain grammar structures or starting to say some words, or they're waiting to get an English certificate that proves that they speak English fluently. But the reality is that you're never ready. By just waiting to be ready, you are just putting off, procrastinating your success in English. So if you keep doing this, if you say that you don't feel ready to start speaking and you never speak, how do you expect to get better at something that you don't practice? What I always encourage my students to do is imperfect action. Your English can be messy, your grammar can be messy, your vocabulary can be messy as well, but still you will be able to convey your message in the best way possible, having the vocabulary or having the grammar that you already know. The English that you know is enough in order to convey your message. What you can do while you are speaking, because once you start practicing speaking, this English that you know, or this this comfort zone that you have will start to expand eventually, because the more practice you do, the more speaking you do with the more speaking activities you have with others, the more confident you feel, and you'll get used to using the English that you know, and you will start expanding that vocabulary of yours. The second mistakes that some of my students have made while they were learning English was speaking fast, because we were sold this idea that speaking fast will somehow helping you sound more fluent, will help you sound more natural when you're speaking. But what happens when you speak fast? What's the mistake about this? When you're speaking too fast, not only in English but even in your native language, you are not giving your brain time to catch up with your mouth. In fact, and it's been proven, the most successful communicators take their time to speak. They take their time to think what they want to say, how they want to transmit the message. Speaking too fast only leads to burnt out, because you will stay in this loop where you keep making mistakes, where you see zero progress, because you think that by speaking faster you will somehow start using words naturally or better. If you want to master speaking, if you want to get better at speaking in English, you have to think not what you want to say, but how you want to say it. Because when you start speaking fast and you forget a word and you don't give yourself time to think of different alternatives or to different situations or a different way of explaining this word that you want to say, well, that's when you get nervous. That's when your mind goes blank. You don't know what to say because you're just in this hurry of wanting to speak English fluently. But I want you to think of your own native language. How many times has this happened to you when you are having a conversation with a friend, with your relatives, or even with strangers on the street? And suddenly you're having this conversation, but you don't remember that word. There is a word that you can't remember. There is a word that you don't know how to say it, and you just try to find a way of explaining what you want to say, and the other person eventually understands what you say. Well, the same happens when you are speaking in English. If you want to speak fast, you don't give your brain time to think, well, you will keep forgetting more words. And instead of getting nervous and getting frustrated because you forget a word, take a deep breath and try to find different ways of explaining how to say that message that you want to say, because that's how communication actually works. It's about taking your time. The other person won't think that you are silly, the other person won't think that you are dumb. It's just that you are taking your time to think what you want to say in the best way possible. Last but not least, what has been holding many people back from reaching fluency in English is just having random conversation with people. Yes, you've got to practice speaking. Yes, it's important for you to go out there to expose yourself and start having real conversations with real people. Bring yourself in situations where you have to speak English. But it's not just about randomly speaking. It's not just about saying words and saying things without getting guidance, without getting feedback of what you are saying. Because having a speaking partner is great, you can practice, but if you don't get feedback, if you don't get guidance on what you are saying, you won't see much progress on your English. Speaking is like going to the gym. You can have two people that go to the gym at the same time, put in the same effort, but one of them will see more progress than the other one. Why? Because maybe the other person is following a routine, sticking to a diet, it's doing the exercises with the right technique, and that's why they are seeing progress. While the other person is just hitting the gym, lifting weights like crazy. They don't take care of the diet, and that's why they don't see progress. Well, the same happens when you are having a conversation. If you just randomly speak, if you don't get feedback on the mistakes that you are saying, on being taught new words or new expressions that can help you express yourself better, well, you will be stuck at the same place that you are now. To sum up, don't wait to be ready. Don't wait to get an English certificate or to know 500 words or 500 idioms in English in order to start speaking. You can start communicating with the English that you already know, and that's more than enough to get your message across. Number 2, take your time to speak. Take your time to think what you want to say, how you want to say it. If you forget a word, you can always look for alternatives to express that word, to explain what you want to say without getting nervous, without feeling ashamed of your English. And finally, get feedback, because working on your English by yourself is something that won't work in the long term. Take your mother tongue as an example. You learned your native language because you were taught by your parents, by your teachers at school, by your friends, by your environment, how to pick up that language, how to use it properly. Well, the same happens with English. If you want to start speaking English fluently, you need to have this guidance, this feedback that will help you see results in the long term. So thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe, hit like, and follow me on my other social medias on TikTok and Instagram, where I will be more than happy to keep sharing this type of content with you. If you are an ambitious professional who has been learning English for years and still don't see progress in your English fluency, then this channel is for you. Hope this helps, and see you again in another video. Bye bye.